Sense are a wonderful charity. They've actually been working with Charity Digital for over 10 years now. So we've got a great long-term relationship. And we're really fortunate to be joined by Adam O'Reilly, who's product manager, and Louise Heath, who's a digital communications officer. And they're going to be talking about the importance of planning in making email campaigns successful, and just give a flavour of how that's helped them. So they have open rates of 26%, which is really good. And last year they recruited 43,000 extra sign-ups to their summer school. So that's brilliant. So do log your questions as we go through the Q&A button, and Chris will be rejoining at the end of this session to actually run through those questions. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Louise and Adam.
Hi everyone. I'll start sharing my screen now for you all. Hope you're all enjoying the day so far. So I'm Louise Heath. I'm Digital Communications Officer at Sense. I've worked here for about 2 years now.
And I'm Adam O'Reilly, and I've also worked at Sense for a couple of years. Louise and I started more or less the same time, and I used to be the digital manager, and now, as Louise said, I'm the manager at Sense.
So in this presentation, we're going to talk to you all about Sense Science School. So what Sense Science School is, why we developed it, onto the content, also a bit about the strategic journey and creating the email journey. And we're also going to share you the insights and results because it was a really successful campaign, and we'd love to share those with you. So first of all, what is Sense Science School? So Sense Science School is a series of emails with a young man named Mr. Tyrese teaching British Sign Language. So Tyrese, or better known as Mr. Tyrese to his students, is a young person that Sense supports. He had such a great personality, and he made so many cheeky jokes, which really translated well onto the lessons, and he really captured the heart of our audience. So the campaign involved us working with the Good Agency to create paid social media content, website content, and also the automated email journey, which was crucial to the campaign. The first iteration of Sense Science School launched last May, so around a year ago now. And it was relaunched at the end of last year for special Christmas and New Year editions, as we felt the desire was still there for people to learn British Sign Language. So as you can see on the slide, here's a little screenshot of the landing page we had for people to sign up. So it's like a little video and a simple sign up form. And in the orange blob, you can also see a little screenshot of one of the emails that we sent out. So why did we decide to do Sense Science School? So towards the end of 2019, which feels like a long time ago now, we decided that we wanted to launch an engagement campaign that would bring Sense into the awareness of potential supporters who hadn't yet heard us, maybe like teach them a skill or teach them more about Sense. So that was kind of the beginnings of the idea. So after a lot of brainstorming sessions, we eventually decided on Sense Science School. So the eventual aim of the campaign was to nurture our current supporters who are so supportive and amazing, as well as teach people British Sign Language, as well as also to create a new pool of supporters to really raise brand awareness of Sense Science School. And we really wanted to teach people British Sign Language as it's so close to the heart of Sense, as we're a charity which supports people who are deafblind and have complex disabilities. So the final campaign involved a series of 5 emails where Tyrese demonstrated how to do different signs of various topics, which I'll go into a bit later. So after we'd begun to finalise the content, get it all organised, we were almost ready to launch. Obviously, the coronavirus pandemic kicked off. The UK went into lockdown pretty much overnight. So we were kind of a bit shocked and surprised. We weren't really sure whether to launch the campaign, whether to put it on hold when things seemed a bit more certain. So after many internal discussions, we decided to take the plunge and launch the campaign in May last year, where I believe the UK was very much still in lockdown. The thinking behind this was that it would either go one way or the other. So either people would be so focused on coronavirus news and that they wouldn't really pay attention to Sense Science School and that it would just get lost in the noise, or people would be really interested in trying to find a distraction and something to pass the time. So luckily for us, people seem really keen for a distraction, and so Sense Science School was really successful. And yeah, I feel like launching it in lockdown was a really successful part of the campaign. Moving on to the fun part, the content. So as I've mentioned before, the campaign involved a series of 5 emails set up an automated email journey. So we decided to make these emails and the content really relevant to a wide range of people, as we were trying to, get as many people involved as possible. So the final topics that we decided on were family, food and drink, entertainment, holidays, and of course we let Mr. Tyrese choose some of his favourite words that he wanted to teach people. One of those, as you can see on the slides, being whatever, which is also one of my favourite signs as well. So to produce these videos, the branding content really supported us and kind of managed producing them. Accessibility was a really, really key part of all the videos. As I've mentioned, we're a charity for people who are deaf, blind and complex disabilities. So ensuring that the videos were accessible to everyone was really important. So to do this, we made sure the videos all had audio description and all had transcripts. And the videos were really like short and snappy to keep everyone's attention and also encourage people to do the signs back and really practice them. The emails that we sent out contained minimal text, and the text involved was just about Mr. Tyrese's life and how we'd supported him as a charity. And the video and the main point of the emails was like to do the main call to action. So to get people to click on the videos, take part in the lessons and just really get involved that way. As well as this, we also created a lot of paid Facebook content, and that's how the campaign was mainly promoted. So for that, the branding content team helped us create like short, snappy videos to get people's attention and really get people involved. So as well as the main email campaign, which was really successful, we kind of wanted to continue letting people learn Science School if they really wanted to. So we gave people the opportunity to request Sign Away, which was either an extra Science School resource, either by post or email. And we also, at the end, gave people the opportunity to take part in a survey. And I'll share some of the stats on that later on because they're really amazing. So as well as the main summer Sense Science School, we also continued the campaign in Christmas and New Year as well, because we thought it was so successful. Like people probably really wanted to continue learning British Sign Language. And also, as you remember, and we did go into another lockdown. So we thought, oh, people will be at home again. They'll really be interested in learning another skill again. So as part of the Christmas content, we did generally send people down the same journey, but we did have a few additional videos. As you can see on the slide, there's Mr. Tyrese signing pigs in blankets. And we also created some GIFs as well of Tyrese signing some special Christmas signs just to get people in the festive mood. And we also asked people to share themselves signing on social media.
Thank you, Louise. That's great. So I'm just going to take it up from here, the story of how we move forward with the campaign and getting into that strategic thinking side of things. This was a really new way of working for us in Sense, and it was a group effort throughout the organisation. I think typically a lot of the campaigns are sort of quite siloed, and the teams do work on their own campaigns, but for this one we decided we wanted to work a little bit different. So Louise and I worked across the organisation with the executive leadership team working on the direction of the campaign, press and PR to see how can we extend the life of the campaign beyond its borders, the data team about how we're going to harvest the data, collect the data, email addresses, and how we're going to segment. Brand and content team were pivotal in coming up with some of the, a lot of the ideas. Obviously, as Louise mentioned already, we worked with a good agency, so the brand and content team worked with partners to come up with the content. And we also worked with Kite Factory, buying space for Facebook and Google. And this particular campaign was predominantly focused around Facebook. this campaign was the first sort of digitally focused interdepartmental activity for Sense, and it was a real change in culture and the way we decided that we wanted to work. So the circumstances of the pandemic obviously dictated that we needed to move more digital into a digital space and to move that to the center of our campaigns. And we worked with our colleagues to help them understand the sort of the digital journey, because at that time there was only Louise and I who were part of the comms team in the specializing in digital. And I think I'm sure I can speak for Louise, and I think we quite enjoyed being able to help people come along with that digital journey and share what we know and help them understand what exactly we can do with digital, particularly around analytics and proof points of the campaign, especially as we had really no idea how successful the campaign was going to be. And we learned so much from the Sense Sign School summer that we moved a lot of those learnings into Sense Sign School winter. And that helped us with the scenario planning. And we'll go through a little bit of the results shortly, but the scenario planning of this type of campaign, originally the forecasts that we had from the agencies were they weren't particularly high, but they were sensible for what we thought was going to be right. But it was so immense, it was huge, and it was a big learning that we took away from that. It was what to do if the campaign gets really big. How do we handle that volume of data? And that was, again, working with our colleagues in data to say, how can we move people between our website and the charity digital and dot mailer, which we used, and we came up with this idea of actually connecting the two systems together, which I'll come on to in a little bit. But this campaign's definitely made us feel a bit more confident about our abilities, specifically with how Sense presents itself. Also having someone really as engaging as Mr. Tyrese, as Louise alluded to earlier, a lot of the little embellishments that he put in himself, and he's such an engaging character. And also looking at the digital is definitely the way forward for us. And looking beyond the campaigns as well, I think that's where we didn't really realize the success of this campaign. I remember the meeting, we weren't too sure where to go from here because it really blew our minds. But what we decided to do was just have a look at how what to do next, and that was investment in the digital team, which we're now seeing we've grown as a team. Also the life cycle of the campaign as well, and that is to do with how do we want to move people from the Sense Sign School to building that relationship with us. And a lot of that came through a lot of trial and error, particularly around how we designed the customer journey, because we hadn't really thought about just how many numbers we'd have, and now that's something that we really think about for the future, and particularly around how we focus our efforts on advertising. So we picked Facebook as the focus because there were a lot of things that we could do with Facebook, fine tuning, targeting ads. We could also upload email addresses so that we could be really fine tune how we actually spoke to people. We did do Google ads as well, but Facebook was where we decided to actually put that to put our efforts. And building on our journey was the best path forward. And now I'm going to talk a little bit further about the journey in the next slide, about how we built that. So on your screen, just to describe what you're seeing, is a screenshot of Charity Digital's .mailer. I'm sure many of you will have seen something of this type before. This is the automation that we used to move people through the journey. Louise mentioned earlier that we created 5 lessons with Mr. Tyrese, and then after that, what we decided to do was connect another journey to the original lessons journey to take people on a relationship build. and that was a series of 7 emails. What we needed to do was connect the 2 automations together, and we did this through using address books. It was a bit of a retrofit, and this is where the trial and error comes in, and sort of future planning and scenario planning about how, what if the campaign is a success? Should we be planning for onward journeys, and also I think it's a bit of self-belief, as I mentioned earlier. So this is how we actually built the campaign, and as I said, it was a bit of trial and error, because after the fact we realized that we could actually connect our system of Umbraco, our CMS, to Charity Digital. So when someone signed up through our website, a chronological job every day at about midday would actually ask Umbraco to bring over all the contacts that come in that day and add it to the address book and send them the person on that journey, so that we could actually automate as much as possible, leaving us to get on with the ideas generation about how do we want to take this forward. And also I'd like to give a big shout out to Elizabeth, who's our account manager at Charity Digital. She was absolutely fantastic at helping us. I mean, Louise and I really did have a go at just trying different things out, seeing how the automation worked, and Elizabeth really did sort of give us a little nudge in the right direction. And also with this, just as a little anecdote, I remember sitting on a 3-hour Zoom call with some of our ELT team who were helping me refine this journey. And I think they got a lot out of it, because I think they realized actually that there is a lot of going backwards and forwards, just trying to work out how do we make journeys work. And I think they got a lot out of it, and I know I certainly did. I'd like to move on to a little bit of the Sense Sign Score results, which is in the next slide. As you can see, we did extremely well. There you can see in the summer, the total students was 47,946, and of those students, 29,500, just over, decided to stay. Winter was pretty good too, so that came around at 34,500, and of those 34, 16,000 decided to stay on. So in total, 82,500 people decided to stay on with us. They signed up for the school, and 45,000, just short of 45,500 people decided that they wanted to stay on with that ongoing journey, that we could build those relationships with them, whether it's donations, giving time, and we'll come on to that a bit more insights in a second. So as you can see there, we did pretty well on our exceedingly well, far exceeded our expectations in terms of deliveries. Our open rates are up at 45% for the summer, 39% for the winter, and the click-through rates for the summer was 17% and 12% for the winter. And I'm going to hand you back to Louise to look at the insights.
So as I mentioned before, at the end of the email journey, there was an opportunity for people who took part in all the lessons to take part in a survey. So we were really curious to find out how people found Sense Sign School, as obviously it was the first time we'd ever done anything like that. So out of the summer Sense Sign School participants, 1,000 people responded to our survey, and we were so pleased with the results. So 71% of people signed up to Sense Sign School because they wanted to learn a new skill, which was perfect. Like, that completely tapped into our plans and our ideas to get people during lockdown who maybe wanted to learn a new skill. So 87% of people said they would recommend Sense Sign School to a friend, which was really amazing, and one of the reasons why we then continued to do Sense Sign School in Christmas and New Year, because we thought if people would recommend it to a friend, then why not continue running it if people are still really interested. And finally, 59% of people said they hadn't heard of Sense Sign School before they took part. They said they hadn't had a sense before they took part in Sense Sign School, which is really amazing. And again, really went with our idea that we wanted to widen our net, introduce new people to Sense, and hopefully then get some new supporters and really nurture them.
In this slide, you can see that there are a number of screenshots from different media outlets from Sense Sign School. Mr. Tyrese was a huge hit. He ranged from sort of the local press in Birmingham right through to the big issues, Sky News, ITV News, and he went on screen and actually spoke to the news presenters. And obviously he had his signer there as well to sort of help with translation. One of the really interesting things that we noticed was that the Sense Sign School actually showed up in the big issue in Japan, and that was a really nice sort of outcome from these sorts of things. And the press coverage was really big, and we ended up with quite a few million in coverage. Also, different radio interviews as well on 5 Live and also BBC News, and the Telegraph also picked up the story and ran it as a piece in the newspaper. And now we've got some really fun stuff for you.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, so you can hopefully all see me. Sorry, a bit of a technical issue there. So we thought it would be really amazing. Obviously we can't actually see all of you, but we thought it'd be really amazing to teach you a bit of sign language, and hopefully maybe you could sign along at home. So as it's nearly lunchtime, I thought, why not teach you some food and drink? So first of all, I'm going to show you the sign for pizza. So put your non-dominant hand flat like this, and with your more dominant hand, with your index finger, circle round. So that's the sign for pizza. So if maybe you're feeling a bit healthy this lunchtime, maybe you could eat some fruit. So with your dominant hand, kind of put it under your chin and wiggle your fingers like this. So that's fruit. You might want to have a cup of tea. So for that, take your dominant hand and hold your thumb and index finger like this, and kind of tilt your hands as if you're drinking a cup of tea. Maybe, like me, you might have a glass of wine this evening. Why not? So for wine, put your pinky finger and thumb like this, put your other fingers in and tilt it like this, as if you're drinking wine. So I'll go through that again just quickly if you want to sign along at home. So you might have some pizza this lunchtime, or if you're feeling healthy, you might have some fruit. Maybe after this, you'll have a cup of tea. Or tonight, if you're me, you'll have some wine. That's all. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed doing a bit of sign language.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us, and thank you for listening.
Come on. Thank you very much for that. Tell you what, there was a lot of wine sign language going on in this room during that bit. Not so much of anything else, just loads of wine. Some had 2 going on. There was two lots of wine.
Why not?
I'll not say who though. But amazing. Thank you very much. It was an incredible presentation, and thanks for taking the time to have a bit of a chat with us today. There's loads of questions coming in, so I'm just going to wrap through them one by one, if that's all right. Mm-hmm. Starting at the top then, the most popular question. So people are really interested to know how the open and click-through rates compare to your usual newsletters or email comms.
Go for it.
Yeah, so the open rate and click-through rate were amazing. So I don't have any stats, to be honest with you, to hand of our usual click-through rate. But yeah, like since Sense Sign School happened and during the campaign, the rates really increased. Like we saw a dramatic increase, which was really amazing. And to be honest with you, I think I put that down to obviously people signing up to Sense Sign School and being really interested. And obviously, yeah, just the videos and the way that we really kept people engaged.
Yeah, it speaks to the content and the journey overall, doesn't it? It being really good numbers. Next question. Lots of people are interested to know, and I think it's been a regular question throughout the day because it really sense checks it for people. How much did you spend on the social media advertising, if you don't mind sharing?
I think it was in the region of about 70,000.
No, not a small amount then.
No.
No,
It's a lot
I
of
mean,
money.
and I think that was sort of part of the beauty of being able to actually show what we can do with that money.
Yeah.
And we were, I mean, Kite really did help us out. Kite Factory really did help us out a lot on that, and actually they made it really digestible for everybody. I mean, so Louise and I have been in the digital space for a while, but yeah, it was just really nice and comfortable to be able to go in that room and just say, okay, well, this is our forecast. This is what we think we're going to get from this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, that was I think that was roughly the amount we spent across the advertising.
Great, and it's good to see the effect of an agency, but how did you go through that process and planning and the whole selecting an agency process? What was the sort of the thought behind that?
I think it was existing relationships, wasn't it, Louise?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, we didn't work with them before, and obviously because it was such a big campaign, we kind of just wanted to go with an agency that we trusted and already had a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So did they really help you? One of the next questions is how did you come up with the sort of dedicated audience for your paid social campaigns? Was it a case of just telling them what you wanted and they went off and put a plan together?
It was a bit of both, really, wasn't it? Because I think in the original brief they came up with the personas, and also it was really quite collaborative, actually, because they also sort of helped us, the data team, extract the information and segment, especially as Louise mentioned earlier about nurturing our current database. Yeah, any other thoughts on that, Louise?
Yeah, I think as well with the personas, we kind of thought about the type of people who would be interested in learning British Sign Language. So kind of stereotypically for the charity sector, it was like younger women. So that was quite a key group that we targeted. But yeah, I think we tried to stick to a slightly younger audience. But then, like I said, we had personas and we did try to get quite a wide range of people because we were really trying to widen our supporter base.
Yeah, great, and it obviously paid dividends. Looking at the result, which is great. Next question is from Andrew, and he asks, "Why did you choose to show the videos through an email campaign and as opposed to another platform like YouTube or social, for example?"
So the videos were embedded into the emails through YouTube. So we were using that platform as well. Obviously YouTube is really trustworthy, and it's really useful to use. And I don't know, we directed people to emails, I guess, because we really wanted to nurture that journey. Instead of just sending people to a landing page straight away with all the videos on, we really wanted to spread them out across a few days, really, I don't know, get people really interested in them. And I do think it worked because to our digital inbox, we had people emailing us being like, "Oh, I'm ready for the next lesson now." So I think creating that wait time really helped and really, I don't know, helped people remain interested rather than just giving it to people all at once, which I guess kind of happens in the world now. Everything's so on demand.
Yeah, and especially as you were talking there, Louise, about the comments. I mean, it was really lovely. We had some lovely comments on Facebook, just talking about Mr. Tyrese and just how people really connected with him, and yeah, it was just beautiful to see, just brilliant.
I love building that sense of FOMO. To your point, Louise, as well, we're actually seeing the likes of Netflix and stuff revert back to that a little bit now. There's even some things have been so on demand for such a long time, to build that sort of what's tension is the right word. I mean, Line of Duty springs to mind, but that's BBC. They do that weekly anyways. But I think even a few Netflix shows recently have done the whole let's just spread this out over a longer period of time and get a bit of buzz going about it, get that good vibe and good feeling. So yeah, great stuff. Next question is, what platform are you using to study your social media analytics?
So we use Sprout Social, and obviously the platform analytics as well. I think that's all we're using at the moment. Is that right, Louise?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's all we're using.
Yeah.
Sprout,
so
Sprout's one of those like Hootsuite type, isn't it, where you can do all your schedule and everything from that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great. Next question from Beth. First of all, she says, "Congrats!" Exclamation mark. When it comes to working with beneficiaries, especially children, do you have mechanisms in place to protect and safeguard them in terms of if they get more famous than anticipated?
Yeah, so the whole campaign was planned with Tyrese's family. So his like parents had like a really key role in it. They went to all like the filming, and all the content was like approved by them before it went live. So in a way, that's kind of like our way of safeguarding him. Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, we just kind of made sure that nothing, like, I don't know if anything negative was said on social media, we kind of tried to make sure that he wasn't like aware of it and things like that, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think just to complement what Louise just said there, I think as you said, the family was really, really involved, and I think that's where the crossover to the Science School Winter, we were really quite careful about how far we want to go with this. So I'm pretty sure that'll be it for Tyrese, because I think his mum was very, very much that was quite intense. I mean, going on TV, radio, being everywhere for a little bit. So yes, yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine that being a lot. The sort of press campaigns that you had as well, you just mentioned them. Was this sort of proactively driven, or was it people approaching you? Was it earned media or more press related?
So obviously me and Adam don't work in the PR team, but as far as I'm aware, it was very like driven by us initially. So obviously we sent out the standard like press releases and things like that. But I think as the campaign like gathered more traction, people were like coming to us, which was really amazing. And like Adam's example of the publication in Japan, obviously like that wasn't led by us, obviously. Yeah, so obviously we were getting like a really wide range of people getting involved, which was amazing.
And I suppose that's ongoing relationships as well, isn't it? As you know, because now the news outlets really kind of think, right, we've got some really cool stuff that we can talk about, and that really sort of elevates not only Sense but our beneficiaries as well.
Absolutely. Just to dive into the journey a little bit that you were sending people on, Lee asked a really poignant question. Was there a donation asked involved in the Science School, or did that come in? Was that totally separate, or did it come towards the end of the journey? How did you sort of build that in, if at all?
The donation journey, we put that in the ongoing. Oh, hold on. Was it after? Oh, crikey, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I think it was in that ongoing comms. Obviously, we didn't want to like ask people for a donation as like straight away, especially since a lot of people hadn't heard of Sense before. So yeah, we did ask for a donation, which was quite interesting.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Louise. Saved me there. And the other thing we asked for was a sign up to a campaign at the time, and we found that was quite successful actually. The name escapes me at the second of what the campaign was, but it was to do with it was talk to your MP. So it talked to your MP about getting sign language into schools, and obviously it was good for us as well. And the donation was okay, but the sign up had more traction.
Great, thank you for that. I'll not put you on the spot and ask you for specifics, but we'll maybe share those afterwards. Great. Next question from Katie. What would be your advice for boosting, or best advice, top tips for boosting open and click rates in newsletters?
I don't know, I guess quite a basic one, but really think about subject lines, because obviously I know from my perspective, if a subject line is really boring, I'm probably not going to open it. So that would be my first top tip. And I guess to like really focus on what people are clicking on within the email. So within .mailer, it's like really amazing analytics and stuff like that. So yeah, I think obviously first step, get your subject line right, but then actually within the email, and to keep people opening your content, to make sure the content's really what people are looking for, and obviously using analytics to check if people are actually interested in what you're putting out.
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously use Charity Digital Mail as well here, so the amount of segmentation you can do within it and understanding the behavior of your audience within an email really helps. But on top of what Louise said as well, testing, A/B testing is so important to really boost those open rates and click-through rates. Test your subject lines to find out what your audience like best. Test your content to find out what your audience like best, because it could even come down to something as simple as a color, orange versus blue, that type of thing, where you might have 70% prefer one to the other. So that's really, really important, I think, to sort of boost in any way you can, and every percent counts.
Exactly.
So moving on to one final question. I'm just trying to find one. It's a top voted. How did you persuade your ELT to authorize £70,000 on ads? Was this figure out of the ordinary for the organization? Finish on a difficult one.
I don't know. I think I personally wasn't really involved with influencing like the leadership team, but I think, like I said, the campaign had been planning since like 2019. So I think there'd always been that idea that, we need to like put aside a bit of budget for this campaign. And I think for us, it was like an experiment, like I said. So I think to get the most out of the experiment and the campaign, I think it was put to the leadership team that, look, we really need to put quite a lot of budget behind this. Obviously, the charity sector is quite competitive, and there's a lot of big names like putting a lot of money out there. So I think that's just how we posed it to them, really.
Yes, absolutely. And I think coming back to your point, Chris, about it was that out of the ordinary for Sense. Yes, in terms of if we talk about just digital. And yeah, I think it's just it's harnessing that potential, and as Louise just said, it's helping the organization understand that there is so many other people talking at the same time. For example, the first part of the Christmas campaign was a little bit quieter, so it wasn't until the new year that it really took off, because in December, so noisy. It got all the big brands hogging the space, and it kind of pushes charity to the side a bit. But come New Year, it took off much more.
And the proof's in the results, right? Which you've got the data there to take that back up and push that back up the ladder for the next time. This worked. This works. Let's do it again. So I think the data is more important. The data is just as important as everything else. Anyways, we're out of time. So thank you very much for joining us both today. It's been a pleasure. Big thanks again, Adam and Louise, and we'll see you all in a little bit.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.